Hello and welcome back to my channel. I really hope you are well. In today's video I wanted to show you how to make one of these streaky lettering pieces. This is by request from G. Thank you so much for the request. I've actually made this lettering piece quite a long time ago, so I don't 100% remember how I did it. So this video is going to be almost real time, where I'm going to show you how I've made this from start to finish, and let's see how much I remember. So we're going to start with a sketch. I like to do sketches first. So I'm using a sketching brush here, and I'm also using the small watercolor templates for this. And you will notice that my lettering style has actually changed a little bit since I've made the original piece. I'm writing my R's differently now, but I don't think it's too bad. So you can also see how lettering styles evolve and how you are progressing through your lettering journey. So I always like doing this, redoing some of my original pieces. And then once you're finished with your sketch, turn down the opacity of the layer and create a new layer. And now this is actually still sort of sketch, but now I'm using a different brush. This is my IPL hazelnut cream brush. I didn't have this brush back in the day when I did the original piece, but it's currently my favorite brush, so I'm using it for this piece. And this is really just to figure out the spacing of the letters and the thickness and see whether it fits in the space where I made the sketch. What I like to do now, so this phase is going to take a little while. So what I do, literally, I create a new layer, I turn the opacity of the previous layer down. You can see that the previous layer shines through ever so slightly, and now I'm just tracing my letters and make them look nicer. I really like using this technique because I can practice my lettering a little bit and I can refine it. So rather than trying and erasing things and maybe rewriting them, I just write everything again and make it more beautiful the next time round. And we're doing it one more time. Actually, I've probably done this about 6 or 7 times, and sometimes I do it up to 10 times, and you might find it a little bit boring. So maybe you don't need to do it that many times, but I don't mind. I find it really relaxing actually, and every time I do this I can refine my letter shapes a little bit and really focus on the thin and the thick strokes and really getting the endings nicely of my letters as well. I'm going to speed up the video a little bit now because I think it's getting a little bit repetitive, but I still want to show you the whole process that I'm going through, and just to show you that sometimes it takes a little while, but it always pays off in the end. Alright, so now we are going to turn off the background textures. I don't know, I just felt it would be better to turn them off. And then we're creating a new layer, and we are setting that layer as a clipping mask, and that is super important. The brush that I'm using here is not a brush that I've ever shared or sold or anything like that. It's called IPL Magic Streaks, and I'm actually going to share it with you for the first time, so you can get this brush for free from my website. I'm going to leave a link in the description of this video so you can grab this brush and you can try this out for yourself. And you can see that the brush is not the best quality. That's probably why I've never sold it, but it still creates a really nice effect, and you can try it out and see what you can create with it. So I've started with the magenta color, and you see that I'm creating the streaks on the side of my strokes, and I'm going to change to cyan and go over my letters the second time. And now I'm trying to fill in the parts where my letter is still black, but still trying to blend it a little bit with the magenta, and then you'll see how it creates just a really, really nice blend. And now I'm actually quite curious to hear from you. How many different colors do you think I'm going to be using for this lettering piece? You've seen the example at the start, and the outcome is going to be quite similar. And put in the comments, what are your thoughts? How many different colors are we going to use here? It doesn't matter if you get it wrong, but I'm just curious to hear. So now I'm going all the way around, filling in the cyan color and trying to blend it a little bit with the magenta as well, and really trying to cover the spots where we don't have any color yet, where the black color is still coming through. And then we are going to change to yellow, and we're going to go over our letters the third time. And maybe you've guessed that this is actually the last color that we're going to use. Yes, we're only going to use 3 colors for this whole piece. And you see how the yellow really makes the difference. This really brightens up the whole piece and creates so many new colors. Every color of the rainbow pretty much is what we can achieve now with only 3 colors. And again, we are going to go all the way around and really use yellow as the highlight color as well. You can see how it blends super nicely. If you blend it with the cyan, it creates green. If you blend it with the magenta, it creates all sorts of different oranges. And then of course the yellow just by itself looks really beautiful as well. And then you want to duplicate this layer 1 or many times just to intensify the colors a little bit. And then I've also decided to turn the textures back on, but it ended up being really intense, so I turned some of the textures back off, and I also adjusted the bottom color burn layer with the gray background. And then I create another new layer, and I actually set the blend mode to darken to start with and filled the layer with gray, but it didn't turn out so nicely, so I ended up changing the blend mode to color burn and then use the curves tool to adjust that layer. And you can see that I'm using the gamma adjustment first, and that brightens up the whole layer again. So we can use the curves tool to dial in the exact color that we want for this layer. And then also maybe change the blues a little bit and take some of the blue off to bring it more into the green spectrum and create a little bit of warmth to our lettering piece here. Now I'm actually quite happy with this, and so I'm merging all the colors, and then I'm creating a mask onto the letters layer, and we are using the mask to hide part of our colorful layer so that the black that we've written below comes through again. And the reason why I like using a mask is because it's a non-destructive modification. That means if I make a mistake, I haven't erased anything, I can change the color to white and then almost paint the color back in, and you'll actually see me doing this in a little bit. So to start with, I'm creating all these shadows, and I actually like them to be quite black. Normally I'm not a big fan of the really dark shadows, but for this piece I really think it lends itself. And then once you've gone all the way through, you want to change black to white, maybe decrease the size of your brush a little bit, and then you can make the edges a little bit sharper, so just so that that shadow effect becomes a little bit more visible and becomes a little bit more defined. And then last but certainly not least, it is time to create some splatters as well. I love splatters. It really makes a difference to the lettering piece. And you'll see that I'm not creating too many splatters here. I'm using the fine dots brush for this. And I'm actually only using 2 different colors because when it comes to splatters, less is usually more. And then just as a little bit of an extra, I actually wanted to create a little shadow at the bottom of my lettering piece as well. So I'm going to use the soft brush for this and just paint a black line here. So we're going to use the Gaussian blur tool to blur it out, and then we're going to use the freehand selection tool, and we're going to shrink this line a little bit and make it sort of like a really thin line. And then we're going to turn down the opacity and only make it visible ever so slightly. And there you have it. This is our streaky lettering piece. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And then I'm also going to put up another couple of videos with more Procreate lettering tutorials. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.